Is Canada still worth it in 2025? Is the biggest question on every immigrant's mind right now. See the headlines, you hear the stories, and you're trying to make a life-altering decision based on noise and emotion. But what if I told you that all those problems everyone talks about, high rent, the tough job market, are just symptoms? And the real reasons are found in deep economic shifts that most never talk about. This video isn't another pro and con list. This is a story about what's happening behind the curtain. We're going to connect the dots between the daily struggles we all see and the big economic story that's actually hidden from most of us. So why is it so important to know what's happening behind the curtain? Because right now, a lot of us are trying to make huge life decisions based only on what we see on the surface. The high rent, the tough job market, the rising housing costs. And when that's all you can see, you can't help but feel powerless, like you're just reacting to bad news. But everything changes when you understand the why. When you understand the system behind the struggle, you stop being just a passenger along for the ride, and you become the driver of your own life. Think about it. Instead of just feeling the stress of housing costs, you understand economic forces that keep them high, which helps you make a realistic long-term financial plan that actually works. Instead of just feeling the sting of job rejection, you understand the systemic barriers, which help you build a smarter career strategy to get around them. And most importantly, instead of feeling trapped, you gain clarity. Understanding the forces behind allows you realistically gauge where things are heading. Even if you look at all this and then decide, you know what, this isn't for me, you can make that decision early and with confidence, not with panic or regret. That's the power I want to give you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. So where does the story really begin? It starts with a huge change in how Canada brings people in, a change that most people don't see, but we all feel the effects of. For a long time, the main way to hire a temporary foreign worker was through a program called Temporary Foreign Worker Program, which has a lot of strict rules designed to protect Canadian jobs. But the data from Statistics Canada tells a fascinating story. Over the last decade, the massive growth in our temporary resident population, which more than doubled to over 800,000 workers by 2021, has not come from that protected program. In fact, the share of new workers has fallen dramatically. The real growth has been fueled by what are called LMIA exempt streams, especially the postgraduate work permit, or PGWP, for international students. This created what's often called the two-step Canadian dream. Come here as a student, pay high international tuition fees with the promise that you'll get an open work permit and then transition to permanent residence. Now, what's the real world consequence of this big policy shift? It has created a large, flexible, and often vulnerable pool of highly motivated labor. As many economists have pointed out, this has the profound effect of watering down the strength of labor and giving employers a permanent uphand. This one change is the first and most important dot we need to connect because it starts a chain reaction that affects everything else. This brings us to the first major ripple effect, that intense personal squeeze you feel on your career and your bank account. Let's talk about the job market first. That feeling you have when you send out hundreds of resumes and hear nothing back, it's real. The influx of workers from these LMIA exempt streams has led to fierce market saturation, especially for entry-level professional roles. We're seeing employers getting hundreds of applications for a single job from people with bachelor's degree or even master's degrees. This intense competition gives more power to that infamous Canadian experience barrier. When an employer has a mountain of resumes, it becomes an easy filter for them to discard years of your valuable international expertise. Now, on top of that, if you're in a regulated profession like engineering or healthcare, you run headfirst into the foreign credential recognition labyrinth. The research is clear. It's a slow, expensive system with a profound lack of transparency and unclear requirements. Many skilled people get so frustrated waiting years for a decision that they simply give up on their profession altogether. This systemic failure is a direct cause of the doctor driving the taxi phenomenon we've all heard about. So when you combine a saturated market with these systemic barriers, it leads directly to the widening wage gap. This isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable fact. A Bank of Canada paper revealed that the wage gap for newcomers has more than doubled to over 22%. So why is this happening? The study points to a few key drivers. First, the country origin plays a role, suggesting that experience from countries with a lower GDP per capita may not translate to the same pay levels here in Canada. Second, the massive influx of younger international students has lowered the average age and experience profile of that workforce, which naturally pushes down average earnings. And finally, there's a growing concentration of newcomers in historically low wage sectors like food service, retail, with a decline in those holding skilled positions. It's a perfect storm that puts a systemic cap on your earning potential. But this large influx of people serves another crucial purpose for the Canadian economy, which creates the second major ripple effect, the housing crisis. The tough truth is, Canada's economy has become deeply reliant on high population growth to fuel its real estate market. This creates a fundamental and deeply unfair paradox for every single newcomer. The system is structured to attract a large volume of people to maintain its high demand for housing and keep the prices inflated. But here's the consequence. You, the newcomer, whose presence helps sustain the system, are simultaneously being priced out of it. The very economic engine you're fueling makes it impossible for you to afford a home. When the price of a house is more than 12 times the median income in Vancouver and 10 in Toronto, when a ratio of 5 is considered affordable, the dream of ownership becomes a financial nightmare. This forces an impossible choice. You either stay in a big city for the job opportunities and face these crippling housing costs, or you consider moving to a smaller town where you might have to sacrifice your career prospects, accept a painful commute, and face a higher risk of social isolation in communities that may have less diversity and fewer support networks. Okay, so after seeing the chain reaction from the policy shifts to the job market to the housing crisis, it can feel overwhelming. And you might be thinking, great, now I understand why everything is so hard, but what am I supposed to do about it? And that is the most important question, because understanding these systems isn't about feeling discouraged, it's about gaining a strategic advantage. It's the map that lets you see the whole forest so that you can find the hidden paths that others miss. And that is exactly what my next video is all about. Now that we understand the why behind the struggle, we're going to build the how. I'll be sharing a practical step-by-step playbook with the proven strategies that thousands of successful immigrants have used to build their finances, pivot their careers, and build a life they love here. To get that playbook, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss it. So after all this, we come back to our original critical question. Is Canada still worth it in 2025? After 6 years on my own journey, after navigating these challenges myself, and after all of this research, my answer is a clear but conditional yes. Here's a reality check. Canada is no longer a country you can just arrive in. It's a country you have to solve like a complex puzzle. The old dream of easy, plug-and-play success is over. The Canadian dream is not dead, but it no longer comes fully assembled. You have to build it yourself. And the price of admission is resilience and a rock-solid plan. That's my take. But my goal is to empower you to find your own. I hope this deep dive into the why behind the struggle helps you just do that. And I want this to be a space for honest conversations. So based on the reality check, what is your answer to this big question? Leave it in the comments down below. And if you're ready to start building your own strategic plan, make sure you subscribe, because in the very next video, we're going to break down the practical step-by-step playbook to do just that. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your support. If you got any value out of this video, please hit that like and subscribe buttons. It will help push my content to more people in your situation. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.